Today is our second day to be open. We only have partial power. We're running a generator. You might hear it in the background. We don't have air conditioning. We got part of our Wi-Fi internet is working off that generator. Thankfully, as Guam weather goes, it's been cooler. Again, in the big scheme of things, these matters are mainly inconveniences. Our expectation is that we'll be full speed in a few days. Now we go on. And not only am I, by God's grace, determined to do so, I see in our whole PIU family, staff, faculty, and students a determination to do the same. In fact, these students that you are looking at were just last night at a college fair encouraging other young people to join them here at PIU. It's one of the lessons that I learned from living through the worst storm I have ever experienced in all my time on Guam. Of course, keep in mind, I haven't been here very long. As Mangkhut approached, we reminded ourselves about how much we didn't know. At first, the storm followed a straight line that led to our campus, then it jogged north. Still, we didn't know. How far north would it pass? Would it turn south at the last minute? How strong would it be? All the meteorologists and computer models were a big help. The wisdom of those who had been through storms before was much appreciated. But at the bottom of the pile of forecasts and advice was this bedrock truth. We didn't know. We tend to live lives built on assumptions, some valid, some not. We tend to accept those explanations that make us feel best. The problem is, the answer that makes me feel good isn't always right. We don't like the I don't know answer, but more times than we want to admit, it is the right answer. Mangkhut was an effective teacher of that lesson. That was one of the things that brought about stress. Mangkhut placed all of us on our little campus in a sort of psychological test chamber. How would we respond? I'm pleased to say that my much expanded family responded very well. They worked hard in the heat and the rain. Some of the work was frustrating because for many of us it was a first. We could fuss about not having the tool we wanted, or we could get by with what we had. My PIU family stepped up, worked hard, got the job done, all with a great attitude. I'll come back to that in a moment. In addition to not knowing, I also found out I'm really pretty helpless. I remember from a safe vantage point looking at our administration building, the most vulnerable of our buildings on campus, and thinking, if the roof blows off, I really can't do anything except to watch it blow away and pray and hope that it doesn't hurt anyone. Again and again, I use the words, what we can do. The fact is, though, when I have done what I can do, it isn't nearly enough. But beyond the lessons I learned from Mangkhut, I was reminded that this typhoon is not the worst storm PIU will face, and I'm not talking about another typhoon. For reasons that are rather complicated, we're faced with the need to put $86,000 in a secure bank account. We don't have a spare $86,000. Now it's complicated, but I can give you a bare outline and we'll fill in the blanks if you get in touch with us. This need has to do with our participation in Pell Grants, funding that enables our students to pay their tuition. It's our largest source of income. We have not mishandled those funds. In fact, our record is excellent. The Department of Education keeps score on all schools that participate in Pell. In spite of the fact that our financial situation has improved, Because of our low cash reserves over the past couple of years, our score is below the level that the Department of Education requires. The DOE requires us to have an $86,000 letter of credit. Now, since we don't own our campus, we don't have any collateral to offer for such a letter of credit. It's kind of like a bond that a contractor takes out to assure that the contractor will finish the job. Now, here's where it gets ironic. If we had the $86,000, we wouldn't need the letter of credit. But since we don't have the $86,000, we need the letter of credit, but we need the $86,000 to get the letter of credit. If we get the $86,000, then after a year or so, we won't need the letter of credit. It's a bit like a dog chasing its tail, but it's not funny. We're in the reaccreditation cycle with our accrediting agency. One of their requirements is for us to be in compliance with the Department of Education. So we really have no alternative other than to get this money in the bank. Now, there are a couple ways this could happen. The most obvious one is for us to receive special gifts totaling $85,000. If you want to talk, I'm all ears. This is where this financial storm has something to do with the typhoon that just blew through here. In getting ready for the typhoon and then in taking down the temporary window coverings and doing other work, I worked with our campus students 18 or 20 hours. Again and again in those 3 days, I said to myself, these young men and women, equipped with a biblical worldview and educated to lead in the right way, are the kind of people Micronesia and the rest of the world needs. Godly, Bible equipped, Jesus loving women and men who will serve and lead to the glory of God. I think that's the most important thing I learned from Mangkhut. Though it was only a banana typhoon, it was powerful enough to strengthen the conviction in my heart that this institution is not yet done with the work God has given it. What I call sticky notes for the refrigerator door of my mind. I've got 19 or 20 of them. I'd be glad to send them all to you if you'd like them. There's a couple of them on the screen. You'll notice the one on the right. It talks about incremental progress. That's that little by little Marco's talking about, and I don't despise that. But sometimes there needs to be some big steps. We're at that place at Pacific Islands University right now. We need to take a big step if we're going to make it through this critical year. Perhaps God could use you to help us train some young people who want to go out and change the world. Thanks. I know many of you are already supporters of us here at Pacific Islands University. You have my thanks. But if the Lord would lead you to do something more, that would be great. And some of you who are listening, you've been thinking about supporting us, but you've never stepped up to be our partner. I would love for you to join us. And as a mere token of our thanksgiving to you, we'll give you one of our official Coffee with the President coffee mugs. It's not much, but it's our way of saying thanks. And we hope it serves as a reminder every time you drink some coffee or tea to pray for us at Pacific Islands University. Thank you. Bye.